Hey house guests, welcome to another season of Big Brother Canada updates and spoilers. It is season 8 and I love Canada. Okay, so our house guest of the day is Wilson Matthias. Wilson, thank you so much. So much for the support over the years. We really appreciate it and we could not do this without you. So thank you again. And if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. I really feel like Mrs. Rogers in this sweater, but I'm enjoying it. So yeah, this is the first spoiler of the season. Super exciting. If you guys didn't see our episode recap yet, it should be the video before this one on our channel. So just to talk about where things left off on the first, or yesterday's episode, it wasn't the first one. Last night, Chris, the brain expander, won the mental competition, which means that Suzanne and Nico were up on the block against each other, and as we saw, Nico self-evicted. I have a lot of opinions about this, which I talked about in the recap. I'm curious how you guys feel about it. If you haven't already left a comment about it, I want to know what you think. Okay, so the episode ended with the HOH competition in progress, and again, why do they do that? Why do you do that to us? It's so not cool. But we found out that Chris won the HOH competition because Canada doesn't actually film their live episodes live. They actually film them a few hours before, so the spoilers hit the internet and everybody knows what went down. So anyway, the feeds came back on a few minutes after the episode ended because this house is on the East Coast, baby. That is something that I definitely love about Big Brother Canada. I gotta tell you, those long ass nights waiting for things to happen on the US version, because that house is in California, it is a long wait. So yeah, I'm glad that we are back in East Coast territory. So this is the first night that they've had the HOH room, I'm pretty sure, because this is the first HOH of the season, right? Before, nobody was in charge. Canada was deciding who was going to be in the bottom and who was going to be up on the block, sort of. So, everybody was excited about the HOH room, and almost all of them were gathered in there. I think Jamar was like the only person that wasn't in there at the time when Kyle busted in wearing his diaper. I'm sorry, but those black, like, booty shorts are too much. It's too much. So he comes in with a bucket of slop and the have-not rules. So he's going over, like, okay, Big Brother says we can eat these things with the slop. We can still have coffee and tea, blah, blah, blah. They're all excited about that. And he also said if the condiments are abused, they will not be replenished. So if somebody decides to pull a prank or try and get back at somebody by dumping out like all the maple syrup, which we've seen in the past, that will not be replenished. Good to know. I just have a question. Why is their slop green? What did they put in their slop to make it look like that? Ugh. Okay. So yeah, they have the slop going on. They did not open the have-not room last night. They did that today, but we'll get there. And everybody wanted a taste of that slop. So Kyle, again, in his diaper, starts spoon-feeding everyone some slop. Doesn't it usually work the other way? The person in the diaper is the one being fed? But it was just so freaking weird. He was feeding them all on the same spoon. Hello, coronavirus. And it was just really bizarre to watch. So then Jamar did end up trying a little bit later, and he puked it up. Okay. The have-nots for this week are Kyle, Vanessa, Maddie, and Michael. I think they all volunteered, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I hope we get to see some food competitions this season because I love that. So, all right. Suzanne and Rianne were chatting in the black and white bedroom, and I swear to God, this felt so much like the same conversation from Arrested Development, you know, between Job and Tony Wonder. They're realizing how much they have in common, and they both just keep saying, same, Same. So they establish they can talk to each other about stuff. They can talk crap about each other, about people to each other. And apparently they're both really fed up with Min Lee and Angie. And it sounds like it's non-game related reasons. Things like being inconsiderate or nitpicking, not helping around the house. I don't know. But it sounds like they really want Chris to target Min Lee this week. We'll see. They also both agree that they love Kyle. And I can already tell that Kyle is doing way too much. He's doing the most. And yes, he might be popular amongst the house guests right now, but I feel like that is not something that he's going to be able to sustain for the long run. I feel like he's going to burn out quickly. Yeah. So anyway, I feel like all that I've seen of Rianne so far is her complaining about other people for the most part. So a little later, we got some bros in the storage room, Chris and Kyle. So there was a lot of talk of day one, bros getting the game to work in their favor. And then Sheldon walks in, and then the three bros start hugging. So then Brooke walks in while they're hugging, sees the hug, and immediately leaves. Oh my God. Please, Brooke, I hope you made a note of that. Please. Because remember before the season started when Brooke was saying in her interviews, like, oh, I hate, like, the alpha male mentality and, like, guys who think that they're better than everyone and that kind of thing. It's right there in front of you. Please, please dismantle it. So Chris is saying, we have all the beasts. We're going to be winning the competitions. We're the big targets here, but none of us are getting backdoored at any point. What? I think you are absolutely going to get backdoored. I think that's how it works. So he says, we're going to the Final Four, and then we're going to battle it out and let the best man win. Goodbye. Clip. They all agree it's going to be like last season, but better. No. So gross. So then Chris leaves, and this is where it gets interesting. Because Sheldon says to Kyle, you need to keep gassing Chris up. Keep pushing the whole, like, last season narrative. We got to make sure that nobody else gets into his head. You know, they can tell he really likes that bro thing that they're working, the bro thing that they're selling to him. And they want to make sure that they use it to their advantage so that he won't come after them. So maybe they're not all gonna work together and bro out? I don't know. Alright, so then Chris and Kyle later have a game chat in the HOH room. And Kyle is saying, you know, I really think that Sheldon should be in our group. And we just saw before they were having their little bro out in the storage room. So obviously there's something there, right? So Chris says, Kyle, you are the one guy in this house that I trust. Later they shake and they agree that they're each other's ride or dies. And then they start talking about who should go this week. So Chris says he's not really threatened by floaters like Suzanne, Carol, and Angie. What does he think that floaters means? Because I don't see how anybody could even be classified as a floater in the first week. It doesn't make sense by either definition. Okay, because, like, if you're saying a floater is somebody that just, like, floats through the game and doesn't win any competitions, it's the first week. There haven't been that many competitions to win. So how can you even tell who a floater is? And then if you're going by the older definition of somebody who floats back and forth between powers, there hasn't been, like, an exchange of power yet. So, again, how could you tell who in this group is a floater? So, I guess he basically means it's, like, a weak person that's not going to be winning competitions, which he just assumes that the girls will not be. And he says, weak players like them are not going to beat us in competitions, so we should just keep them with us. They're not going to be talking crap about us. So Kyle's like, yeah, I'm totally on board with that. He also shares that he is very close with Nessie, aka Vanessa. So she should be in their group as well. So that's all fine and dandy. So then Chris is like, okay, I see that Maddie, Michael, John-Luc, and Rianne are a thing. And they are. We know that they are calling themselves the Evictors. They are working together, and they think it's a secret, but, like, everyone knows. It's so sad. So, Chris sussed this out by being observant. You know, he feels like if this was the real world, somebody like Maddie would have been all over him, especially since he won a competition. So the fact that she's not all over him means that she's working with those other people. Wow. Okay. So then back to the alliance that they want to create. Chris says that they're going to need 8 people because there's, 15 people left, and he wants to have the majority. Oh boy. First of all, 8 people? You want to create an 8-person alliance in the first week? Okay, Bomb Squad. Also, 8 people for the majority? You do realize when there's 15 people left in the house, only 12 are voting, right? So, like, that math doesn't exactly work out, but sure. So, they go through their list. So, obviously, Chris and Kyle. And then they are very close with Vanessa and Suzanne. So, they want to have, like, a 4-person thing within their big group. So, it would be Chris, Kyle, Vanessa, Suzanne. And then the other 4, Carol, Angie, Jamar, and Minley. But Minley, she's, like, in the group, but she's not fully going to be in the group because they feel like they don't know what to expect from her. She could do anything. So that's the group that they're thinking about forming, or at least Chris is. And Kyle is going along with it because he wants to have some sway over what happens this week. So, again, let's keep in mind that Kyle really wants to have Sheldon involved in everything. But Chris is nervous about Sheldon. Because he feels like Sheldon is awfully close with that 4-person Evictor alliance. So he doesn't really know what to do with Sheldon, and Kyle's just trying to make sure that Sheldon's not going to go up on the block. So then Chris tells Kyle, all right, I just want to make it clear, like, I don't want you to tell anyone what my plan is for the week, but I'm going to tell you because I feel like you're the only person that I can trust. So then Kyle agrees, and he's like, I'm not going to tell anyone. So Chris reveals that he's thinking about putting up 2 pawns, and that would be Brooke and Hira, because I don't know. No, I do know, but he feels like they're kind of, well, first, okay, he doesn't think that Brooke and Hira have really, like, made an effort to talk game with him, so he doesn't really have a connection with them, but also he's seen them around with the Evictors and all them. He sees that Brooke is kind of close to Sheldon, so he is not really concerned about their safety. However, those are not Chris's targets. Those would just be pawns. Michael is his target. And then if they get rid of Michael, he feels like, okay, then we can pull in Sheldon. Okay. So then Chris is telling Kyle, I would take you to the final 2. Whoa! This is all moving so fast. He also lets him know, like, I'm going to pick you for Wendy's, so we'll be able to talk more during that. All right, well, guess what? It's already out there in the house that Chris will be targeting the Evictors this week. I gotta give him props for trying to make a big move here and not just, like, going after one of the weaker players. But he's the mess, man. He is all over the place. So Brooke and Sheldon were chatting in the departure lounge, and I'm like, yes, because I definitely wanted to see these 2 work together, and it looks like they are gravitating towards each other. Yes. And it looks like they may have gotten this information via Suzanne. So I guess Chris did tell other people what his plan was before. They're cool with Chris potentially targeting Michael, but they don't realize at this point that they could be pawns. I mean, Sheldon knows that Chris is nervous about him, And he knows that Kyle is putting in work to keep him safe. But I don't know if Brooke realizes at this point that she could be a pawn. So, yeah. Kyle is already spilling the Chris conversation to Suzanne and Vanessa. He says, okay, Chris told me that he wants a 4 with the 3 of us. And he wants to put up Hira and Brooke, backdoor Michael. So, okay, this is important to say here. Kyle is previously aligned. He's already aligned with Vanessa, Suzanne, Brooke, Carol, and Sheldon. And I believe they refer to themselves as the 6. So they're already all together. And it looks like Kyle is just trying to bro down with Chris to make sure that everyone in the 6 is going to be safe. So Kyle is working like all angles right now. And it seems like Chris is falling for it. So when this information is then presented to Suzanne and Vanessa, they're saying, we don't want Brooke up on the block. They want to see maybe like Angie go up instead. They're having issues with her. Kyle just, again, wants to make sure that Chris doesn't try to backdoor Sheldon, because he doesn't think that Brooke will be in trouble if she does go up as a pawn. Yeah. Okay, so then Kyle later also spills to Brooke that Chris wants to put her up as a pawn, and she's not into this. Would you be? She's worried that she might still be on the block on eviction night, and, you know, the votes could go against her. You never know. So she's pretty upset, and later she gets super emotional. She starts crying, and it's not just that, like, she could be going up on the block, but it's that it's Chris who would be doing it to her. And she feels like Chris talks down to women, and she doesn't want to have to, like, lay down and kiss his ass specifically this week. This is, like, her nightmare. Like I said before, in her preseason interviews, she was saying, I can't stand the, like, alpha male types that think they're so much better than everyone else. Yeah. This is exactly what she wanted to avoid. So it's crazy that this is happening so soon in the game. So they're all trying to calm her down and tell her it's going to be okay. Like, even if you're up on the block, we have your back. So meanwhile, another fake alliance is forming in the hot tub. At this point, it seems like everybody except for the evictors basically is just putting up with Chris. Yeah. So even the evictors are talking about him behind his back. They all think he's insane. So, yeah, the tanks. We have Chris, Suzanne, Vanessa, and Min Lee. So Chris is telling them his plan, which most of them have already heard before. But they're saying, you know what? Maybe you should think about putting up Michael from the start. He is on slop this week, so maybe he'll lose the POV comp. I don't know. Or at least, like, different pawns, because what happens if Michael isn't nominated and wins the power veto and leaves the nominations the same? Then what happens? You know, we're kind of screwed there. So it seems like people do not want Brooke and Hira to be the nominees. Okay. So then Kyle, Suzanne, Vanessa, and Sheldon all check in the storage room. And again, they are all playing Chris because he's the HOH this week. And I would not be surprised if they dumped him on his ass next week when he's out of power. So their plan is just to keep gassing him up, trying to redirect him away from Sheldon and Brooke, because they're in the 6, the alliance of 6, so they want to protect them. Okay, this is interesting. So today, the house guests were all getting their one-on-one chats in with Chris. Brooke was crying. Chris is basically telling everybody, I'm going to put up 2 people who I feel like haven't really talked game with me before I won HOH. So Chris and Min Lee were chatting in the HOH room, and Min Lee asks, okay, think about this. What happens if one of the 4, meaning the evictors, wins the veto and they leave the nominations the same because they're, you know, hearing that maybe one of them would be the replacement nominee? So Chris is like, they're not going to know that the plan is to put one of them up. Sure, Chris. So he's telling Min Lee, don't cause drama because everybody wants me to put you up this week. So, you know, just sit back and relax. Don't cause a scene. So she's like, I'm not. So then they figure out, wow, we can just tell the four that you're backdooring me. That your plan is to backdoor me so that if one of them wins the veto, they'll still use it. And then you can put one of them up. Oh my god! So Suzanne joins them. She likes this plan. But Chris still wants Brooke and Hira to be the pawns. He thinks that they are numbers for the evictors, the four. And Suzanne says, no. Brooke is not a number for them. Okay. So, just a quick tidbit. Kyle was talking to Vanessa and Carol this afternoon. He's already saying if he wins HOH next week, he would target Chris. And that's, like, fun to think about, but at the same time, we should take that with a grain of salt, because remember last season when Jack and Jackson would always talk crap about each other and say that they would go after each other? Also, like, in the beginning of the season, Christy and Jack, when she was saying that she would target him. So, who knows if that would actually happen. Why would... What's his face? I keep wanting to call Kyle Jack. Why would Kyle want to take out someone who is so loyal to him and already talking about Final Two? But anyway, Michael and John Luke are in the HOH room with Chris, and Chris is acting like Min Lee is his backdoor target. And he's like, I don't know, should I put her up right away? Should I backdoor her? And they're like, I don't know. Are they actually believing this right now? Are you kidding me? So, John Luke is saying, I'm not really sure how you should go about it, but I think that we should make sure a girl goes this week. Because if they start taking out the strong guys, it's just going to be one after the other. And he says, we don't want floaters in the jury. What? You're already oh my god. It is like week 2 and you're... Okay, so feeds go down for the Have Not room reveal. The swamp is open, and they seem pretty excited about it, and I don't know why they wouldn't be. It looks pretty awesome. It's like the freaking Rainforest Cafe up in there, but all they're serving is slop, so that's not great, but at least the room is cool. So then Kyle and Sheldon meet with Chris in the HOH room, and again, they're going to continue trying to push that Bros alliance of 3 to make sure that Sheldon is going to be safe. So Sheldon is saying, I'm 100% in with you guys. They keep talking about last season and the Pretty Boys alliance, and they say, we don't need 4. We don't need a Mark in our group. Woo! So they solidify their 3, and they decide, okay, if the nominees are going to be Brooke and Hira, say the nominations stay the same and the veto is not used. If it comes down to that, they want to keep Brooke over Hira. Okay. So then after this conversation's over, Chris is alone in the HOH room, and he starts talking to the cameras, and he says, that's how you take over the house, ladies and gentlemen. First comp, 0 to hero. Have I won you over yet? Oh my god! Hilarious. Okay, so then the evictors meet in the black and white bedroom. So just to remind you, that's Michael, Maddie, John Luke, and Rianne. And oh my god, they are talking like they actually believe the plan is to backdoor Ming Lee this week. And they're like, oh, this is great. The only way this will go wrong is if she gets picked to play in the power veto and she wins it. But what are the chances of that actually happening? Can you imagine if one of these 4 wins the power veto and uses it, and then somebody else from their group goes up on the block? Insanity. All right, so then the feeds went down for a few hours. I believe it was for the Wendy's meal, and I'm pretty sure Chris followed through and took Kyle. And then nominations should be at some point today, and it's still looking like it's going to be Brooke and Hira, unless something crazy happens. So if you guys want to check back later, I will put that in the info for the spoiler. And then, of course, I'll be talking about it tomorrow, along with the Power of Veto, which should be happening. So let me know what you think of all this so far in the comments. I'm having a good time with it. I hope you are too. And until next time, much love.